These days in New York City, if you see an empty storefront, you often think, when is this going to become a bank branch or when is it going to become a new nail salon? One empty space that's always caught my eye because I pass it all the time is at 66th and Broadway, and it used to be home to Century 21, the discount luxury brand department store, if you can call it that. And prior to that, if you've been around long enough and familiar with the Upper West Side, it was a Barnes & Noble for many, many years. So Century 21 closed during the pandemic, probably 5 years ago. And since then, that huge space, multiple stories, has remained vacant in a very prime spot on the Upper West Side. So I've recently learned that that empty spot is going to be occupied by, yes, a bank branch, Wells Fargo. There's already 2 other Wells Fargo branches on the Upper West Side, so it'll be the 3rd, and that's amongst 513 bank branches across New York City. Chase leads the way with about 115 branches, followed by a multitude of other large banks, including Wells Fargo. So I've always said there's 2 things that you can get still relatively cheaply in New York City, and that's laundry services and nail care. So nobody has any excuse for dirty laundry or for bad nails in New York. But back to bank branches, in lots of ways they can be loss leaders because the rents are super high. Who knows if they're individually profitable? Lots of times they're not, but they serve another purpose. They're great for branding in large communities with heavy foot traffic. Some people simply don't want to do transactions online, including more important things like mortgages and investments. And it's kind of like real estate that way. We learned during the pandemic that nobody's buying properties without sight unseen, without coming and seeing them first. So videos, FaceTiming, all that stuff can be great, and all sorts of digital and online stuff can be helpful. But ultimately, when the transaction happens, people want to come and do it in person. And speaking of the best use of commercial space, we're seeing all sorts of office to residential conversions in New York City. Think of it as the next chapter in our city's constant reinvention, similar to the 60s and 70s when old commercial factory buildings were being converted into residential lofts. One such example is 5 Times Square, and it's not even that old of a building. It's probably 20-something years old, and it used to be the headquarters of Ernst & Young, 38 floors, and it's being converted to residential, 1,200 apartments, 300 of which will be affordable permanently, which is a little dent in creating a solution for our housing supply crisis. And that's one of the many reasons I love New York City. One corner of the city, we could be seeing a new bank branch opening, while another part of the city, we're seeing a complete reimagination of how people live entirely. It's a reminder that the city is never static. It's constantly evolving, changing, and reinventing itself every day, every month, every quarter, every year, every decade. So while we don't necessarily need another bank branch, we do need this further creative use of space, which we're seeing with some of these office to residential conversions.